Welcome to King 5. I'm Greg Copeland. This is The Week, a look at what made headlines in our region, along with your weekend forecast. In this episode, we catch up with a group of nature enthusiasts who are trying to educate while also entertain. A Bellingham yarn store woven into the fabric of Whatcom County explains how President Trump's tariffs have put it on the brink of closure. And we explain the changes going on at Lumen Field ahead of the FIFA World Cup matches. But first, a Thurston County resident turned hostage negotiator this week after a father allegedly took his son without permission, sparking an Amber Alert. King 5's Drew Mickelson spoke with a man who helped step in to make sure that the boy was safe.
Before police and social workers got the 3-year-old back, he and his father were hiding out in Jeff Thompson's backyard.
Because something made me feel that I have 3 trailers, they can't find him, so I'll go look.
Thompson noticed the plywood in one of his trailers wasn't where he left it.
Then when I started peeking my head in there, I heard the trailer move, so I ran.
You did?
50 feet. Because I didn't know if he had a gun.
After about 20 minutes of yelling and talking back and forth, Thompson says he convinced the father to give up the boy.
Well, they wanted water, and I wasn't going to give him any water. He wanted to spend the night at the house, and I said no. And so I just told him to quit dragging his kid through his bad decisions.
The father, Joshua Moen, who appeared in court today on an outstanding burglary charge, is also held on pending eluding and reckless endangerment charges for Wednesday's incident. Relatives say he showed up at the apartment where his son lives, and when he tried leaving with the boy and his relatives reminded him he couldn't under a court order, he allegedly replied, "The blank I can't," and then is accused of throwing the boy in the car and speeding away, prompting the Amber Alert.
I saved the kid, but that's a natural thing to do.
Jeff Thompson doesn't think he's a hero, but he's proud of his actions.
He wanted 10 minutes for him to run. Sure. Well, turned around and pushed my button and Siri came on. I said, "Siri, dial 911.
So you didn't live up to that end of the bargain?
I figured that wasn't really a bargaining thing. He's the creator of this situation. I'm not. All I worried about is that little guy.
Shelton's police chief says the department is planning to honor Jeff Thompson for his actions. Meanwhile, the Mason County judge called him an obvious flight risk and set bail at $250,000. New details are emerging in the murder of a UW student at an off-campus housing complex. Surveillance video captured the suspect and the 19-year-old victim just moments before the deadly stabbing. Natalie Swaby breaks down the latest developments in the case.
Outside Nordheim Court, a memorial marks where Juniper Blessing lived. The 19-year-old transgender UW student became the victim of a violent act. Video shows Sunday, May 10th, 9:45 p.m.
Surveillance cameras catch a resident walking toward the laundry room and a man trailing close behind her. She pushes through the door. Investigators say this is Christopher Leahy right on her heels. She tells authorities he claimed he was waiting on his laundry, then he walked out. She left shortly after, heading back to her apartment. The next clip at 10 p.m. shows Juniper Blessing kneeling in front of a laundry machine. A male resident is nearby when police say Leahy steps through the door. Investigators write he appears to follow the path of the power cord with his eyes and head from the camera to the ground. He turns to leave, something drops, he pauses, then walks out. The male resident follows. Juniper Blessing stays behind, pulling the lint tray, standing up, then moving toward the center of the room. 10:01 p.m., the video stops. 9 minutes later, a resident steps into the laundry room and calls 911. Juniper Blessing is on the floor, stabbed more than 40 times.
Then May 13th, Christopher Leahy walks into a police department and turns himself in. The next day, detectives learn about homeowner surveillance footage recorded May 5th in a neighborhood less than a half mile from Nordheim Court. It shows a man pushing on a door before walking away. Investigators add it to the evidence as they continue working to determine a motive.
Families in Bothell are fighting back against a school board they say will not listen to them. King 5's Eric Wilkinson takes us there, where the community is vowing to recall board members who eliminated a beloved resource officer.
Dude, that's crazy.
Bothell High classmates discuss an incident involving an armed student and the police officer who ran to help.
He's just kind of a key part of Bothell and its community.
Bothell police officer Garrett Ware has been a trusted part of the campus community for nearly a decade. But last week, the North Shore School Board voted 4-1 to eliminate his position. This despite overwhelming public support. The district says it was not a budgetary issue. Students believe it was purely personal politics.
We feel like they brought in a lot of personal bias and a lot of reasoning that was kind of questionable.
Board members have stated some students may not feel comfortable with an armed officer on campus, but Brianna Pan doesn't feel that way at all.
His positive presence makes it comfortable as a minority that I can speak out.
Monday, about 600 students, nearly a third of the student body, walked out of school in protest of the board's decision.
Everyone's upset. Everyone's, kind of pissed off because they didn't listen to us.
Reaction is spread far beyond campus. A former 19-year campus supervisor for Bothell High who worked directly with Officer Ware tells King 5 those board members who voted to dissolve this valuable program have no idea what could be the outcome in the future. Adding, without an officer on campus, we could only hope that hiding, running, and fighting would be our only chance of survival. Now, along with this petition calling for the board to reverse its decision, families are planning recall petitions for all 4 opponents to be removed from the school board.
Because if they're not representing what the community wants, then why are they there?
A federal lawsuit continues raising questions about a prominent Seattle area immigration attorney accused of misdirecting some clients into immigration claims they may not have qualified for. And now more people are coming forward, worried their cases might also have been mishandled. King 5 immigration reporter Sharon Yu explains.
Last week at Attorney Omar Barraza's office in South Seattle, a handful of plaintiffs gathered to speak about their cases.
Las de Virgin Mary, la Virgen de Guadalupe.
Including Gabriel Martinez Garcia, who was one step away from receiving legal status. Instead, he says immigration attorney Alexandra Lozano pushed him to apply for an abuse-based immigration pathway known as VAWA.
She didn't explain me what was VAWA. She didn't explain me the documents. I had to find my own way by Googling.
Garcia is now in limbo, waiting to have his case corrected.
And other people, I think, will benefit indirectly from this lawsuit because we're creating a record.
Co-counsels Omar Barraza and Arik Bomstick saw the problem and set up a website, LozanoCivilAction.com.
Amigos, tengan cuidado.
Since the suit was filed and following the King 5 investigation, Bomstick says at least 300 more people have come forward claiming they too are victims of Lozano's practices. They're now examining more than 800 intake forms total. King 5 uncovered complaints made to the Washington Attorney General's office alleging similar issues, with some dating back years. We reached out to the Washington State Bar Association in November asking for any grievances or complaints involving Lozano. The bar said those records are not public and that disciplinary records for an attorney are confidential. They issued the same response after the lawsuit was filed last week. Several immigration attorneys who spoke to us on condition of anonymity also raised concerns about oversight. They note the state's bar's senior disciplinary counsel, Henry Cruz, is Lozano's former spouse. Documents show they were married from 2009 to 2011. In written statements to King 5, those attorneys said Alexander Lozano should be treated the same as any other attorney accused of engaging in a long-running scheme that has harmed immigrant communities. Another said, quote, "I do not accept that the WSBA is unaware of the fraud, and to know that her ex-husband is senior disciplinary counsel at the state bar and to my knowledge has not commented on the lawsuit or recused himself is fairly outrageous."
The Washington State Bar Association acknowledged it can be frustrating to see people discussing things publicly while the disciplinary records remain confidential. It also said there are safeguards in place to avoid conflicts of interest when it comes to looking at attorneys who have grievances filed against them. The attorneys say they're looking to add more plaintiffs to the current 9 who are on the civil lawsuit as of now. Well, we are now less than a month away from the first FIFA World Cup match in Seattle, and changes at Lumen Field this week were turning a few heads. King 5's Madeline Carter shows us the preparations underway.
In Soto,
This is definitely new within the last week or so.
the changes were turning heads as people walked to Tuesday night's Seattle Mariners game. And for some of the smallest fans,
My brother could hit a fly ball taller than that fence.
the large fences lining Lumen Field were pretty hard to miss.
They're pretty good. I hope they're not electric.
Nope, just part of FIFA fever.
I think they're just shutting that off construction property. Yeah.
Behind the fences, that's exactly what was going on. Crews, construction equipment, and the first real signs that the World Cup is starting to take over the stadium. The barriers are part of the security buildup ahead of the global event. And once the fences went up, they made another change stand out. Something was missing.
It's interesting that they're not allowing it to be called Lumen Fields. I think it's got to be called Seattle Stadium or something.
Sure enough, the name change has already started, with Lumen disappearing from signs around the stadium. Under FIFA's no sponsorship rules, Lumen Field will temporarily become Seattle Stadium, just one part of a $19.4 million World Cup transformation that also includes a brand new natural grass field. And all of it is only just beginning. Inside and out, this place is going to look a lot different come June.
Having a world stage to show the spotlight of beautiful Seattle is going to be awesome.
When we come back, a battle is growing in the South Sound after neighbors say a bald eagle's nest was disturbed by some new construction. And King 5 meteorologist Adam Claiborne shows you what to expect from the weather this weekend, right after this.
Hi there, everyone. Happy Memorial Day weekend. King 5 meteorologist Adam Claiborne here with you. It's going to be a somewhat sunny start to the weekend. Now, we do have clouds that are expected to be around early into Saturday. Those will give way to more sunshine, though, and it's going to be another pretty warm day, maybe slightly cooler than Friday, and then we'll cool down slightly more with some additional clouds by Sunday. But the rain still expected to hold off until we head into the day on Monday, and even that might be later into the day for some of us. We're going to get into all of that, plus the cooler temperatures that come along with that system on Monday and how we'll overall be at least cooler than where we are expected to be here over the next few days. First, let's talk about that weekend forecast here across western Washington. Here around the Seattle area, temperatures will be in the lower 70s for Saturday and for Sunday. Monday is when we cool down because of the clouds of the rain moving on in with that system. All right, so again, Saturday and Sunday expected to bring more clouds. We are going to stay warm, though. We'll see more of those 70s ahead. Now, increasing chances of rain throughout the day on Monday for Memorial Day. Also seeing those cooler temperatures coming along with that, and rising temperatures, too, as we head into next work week. But we're not going to be quite as warm as we start to see those numbers pick back up. Here's a look at that right here. You can see 7-day forecast. For Saturday and Sunday, we're in the 70s. We cool down for Monday and Tuesday, but even when we do warm up, it looks like we're going to keep those numbers generally around more of the lower to mid-60s. Maybe a warmer day there on Thursday as we get up to 68 degrees. Here's radar, and you can see a big picture for us. Our system's going to be still working its way in here as we go throughout the day on Saturday and then Sunday. Still a lot of clouds, but rainless clouds as you make your way out over the Pacific. So as we look at Futurecast to see how it's all going to come together, here we are heading into early Saturday morning, not really seeing much but that cloud coverage that's going to be in place. It burns off and will give way to more sunshine during the afternoon, but I would say still more filtered sunshine, not going to be those completely crisp blue skies like we saw a lot of on Friday. Continuing on as we head into Saturday night, you can see a bit more of that cloud development coming in, and we'll expect more of that as we head on into Sunday. Again, mainly and mostly talking about filtered sunshine. We'll have some peaks of sunshine from time to time and some cloudier skies also too, but really not worrying about rain until we head into late Sunday night. And even then, we're talking generally maybe just the tip of the Olympic Peninsula out there. You can barely see it out this way right there near Neah Bay. It's just barely grazing. And even if you do see that, it may not be a whole lot working its way down all the way down to the surface level. So again, rain probably holding off through most of the night heading into Sunday, but as we continue to advance this, you'll see that the rain will come in. So here we are, late Sunday night, that's 11:30, into early Monday morning, 4 o'clock, and that rain is beginning to find its way across the region. We'll see more of that as we head on into Monday morning. Now, over the Olympic Peninsula is where we have the higher chances. I think it's more so late morning, early afternoon for those of us around the I-5 corridor, and we're going to keep the rain around into the evening. It just looks like the steadiest rain is expected to be during the earlier part of the afternoon. So when we're talking about some of the totals with this, it looks kind of more impressive than what we're going to see. Most of us will pick up maybe about 1/10 of an inch up to 1/4 of an inch. Out there towards the south coast, anywhere between about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then there will be those locations that pick up even higher amounts for the north coast and heading over towards the higher terrain, where that could be anywhere between 1/2 inch, if not more, of rain all the way. And if you're heading out there towards eastern Washington here over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, much warmer, highs into the 80s and well into the 80s at that. Memorial Day, that rain probably going to be holding off. So partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, and then seeing the rain as we head more so into Monday night and into the day on Tuesday. And I wanted to show you this right here. This is going to be what we're expecting for Wild Waves. Wild Waves actually is heading into its final season, and so if you have a soft spot in your heart for that, here's the forecast here over the Memorial Day weekend down in Federal Way. Temperatures in the low 70s. Saturday and Sunday, mostly cloudy skies, especially on Sunday. Then the rain coming in as we head on into Monday. All right, let's talk about some of the high temperatures for us here over the next few days. We're going to see those numbers back up around more of the 70s here for Saturday and Sunday, and then we take that dip, and the average high is at 68. So a lot of these days are going to be maybe below average, Monday through Wednesday, getting up to average as we head on into the following Thursday, and then keeping those highs mainly in the 60s again as we head on into the following weekend and possibly into the beginning of even the following work week after that. Your highs heading on into more of Saturday. Expect those numbers to be around the mid-60s in Blaine, 68 there in Mount Vernon, mid-60s around Clinton, lower 60s in Oak Harbor, 70 though in Monroe, and we get slightly warmer as you head farther south around Seattle, Issaquah, Renton, Maple Valley up to 70, Paulsville though up to 68, 71 in Belfair, and 73 in Puyallup. And your 7-day forecast should be a warm one here over the next 2 days, but definitely expecting to see that rain heading on into the day on Memorial Day Monday. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Welcome back to the week. People in a Tacoma neighborhood say a pair of bald eagles may have been driven from their nest as construction began near a park. Community members claim they warned city and state agencies for weeks about a possible active nest before trees were cut down, and now they're demanding an investigation. King 5 spoke with both sides of this heated dispute.
We cannot put the eagles back in their nest. We cannot put the tree back up.
Neighbors near Charlotte's Blueberry Park in Tacoma say they warned agencies for weeks before trees were cut down near what they believe was an active bald eagle nest. Monday, they say crews cleared some trees at the site, and a helicopter circling overhead scared off the adult eagles.
Personally, I witnessed the eagles fly over my home after they had been flushed out of this property.
Andrea Hogue, chair of the South End Neighborhood Council, shared these photos taken by neighbors in recent weeks, showing what appear to be bald eagles near a townhome development site. The group says it contacted city, county, and state agencies multiple times, asking for the area to be reviewed before construction moved ahead. Under federal law, disturbing an active bald eagle nest during breeding season is illegal. Now neighbors are demanding an investigation and want work at the site stopped.
We don't know these people. We're supposed to trust that they would self-report something that would stop them from making money. This is showing how our system is flawed.
Well, I would say in my career of nearly 30 years, this site has undergone more intensive environmental review than any project I've developed.
The contractor tells King 5 they're following the rules.
We've done everything we can to make sure that we've complied with the law and that there's nothing that we're going to impact negatively as it relates to any protected species within the site.
And a spokesperson with the city of Tacoma told us that they're aware of these rising concerns, but say at this time it has not received verified information documenting an active nest near or on the site. For now in Tacoma, Brady Wakayama, King 5 News.
President Trump's tariffs combined with rising prices and tumbling tourism are threatening to put some out of business. Now presidential policies threaten to unravel the future of a Whatcom County business. We take you to Bellingham now, where the owner of Northwest Yards and Mercantile says the tariffs and anti-Canadian rhetoric are taking a toll.
When President Trump announced sweeping tariffs against countries across the globe, he called it Liberation Day for America. But some small businesses like this one say the president's policies are having the opposite effect. For the past decade, the philosophy at Northwest Yarns and Mercantile has been community before profit. But these days, profits are a problem.
The tariffs have been huge in a bad way.
Business is down at least 20% from a year ago. Owner Echo May blames Trump administration tariffs that have raised prices and anti-Canadian rhetoric that is keeping tourists away.
We've had Canadian customers actually contact us and say that they would love to come down, but they don't feel comfortable doing so.
The Supreme Court recently ruled the Trump tariffs illegal and ordered refunds to those who've paid them, but that process is proving slow and cumbersome. Tariffs passed on by wholesalers will likely never be refunded because they've just been blended into product prices. The only refund Echo might see would come from direct imports from impacted countries.
To be honest, there doesn't seem to be an entirely clear path on how to get tariffs back, and there's certainly no way to get back the harm that they've already done to us.
After struggling to keep up with rising costs and falling profits for the past year, things came to a head this month when it came time to write paychecks. Echo had to take out a loan to pay her employees. She was mere days from going under.
No business owner wants to admit that their business is failing.
In order to save her business, Echo had to do just that and launch an online fundraiser to help keep her doors open until the American economy is spinning more reliably once again.
And hopefully after that, we will continue to stay open for decades to come.
The Association of Washington Business says about half of the state's companies report being hurt by President Trump's tariffs. In Bellingham, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
Well, this July, the hotly anticipated epic The Odyssey rolls out on screens all across the U.S. It is the first ever movie to be shot entirely in IMAX. But if you hope to catch it as it's been meant to see, you're now out of luck unless you feel like a road trip. The curtain is coming down on feature films at Seattle's Boeing IMAX Theater, at least for now. King 5's Brady Wakayama reports from the Pacific Science Center.
We're not dead yet, but it's a heavy blow.
A massive hit movie lovers in the Emerald City didn't want to see.
I think it's really sad because, Seattle is a supposedly major city where it's just becoming harder and harder to, just to even simply see a movie.
Amelia Angaris works at Scarecrow Video, one of the region's last video rental shops. She says the news the Boeing IMAX Theater at the Pacific Science Center has paused showing feature films at the venue is a gigantic loss for the city.
Everything is shutting down, not even just movie theaters, but movie theaters in particular.
The Space Needle bought the northeast corner of Paxi in March for more than $17 million. That includes the Boeing IMAX Theater, which is now named IMAX at the center.
And storytelling is so important, and putting it on a scale, I think, says that to people. So it's just a shame.
A tough loss for movie buffs, who now have fewer options for a true IMAX experience, with its larger screen and unique aspect ratio compared to standard mall theaters. Space Needle officials say they still have the option to show feature films, but there are no plans to do so in 2026.
You have this screen, this stage, the technology's already built. Share it. Share it with as many people as you can.
The space is currently closed for renovations, and the Space Needle says it will focus on IMAX documentaries for the time being.
If it was just going to be totally empty, I think that would be very, very upsetting. So it's good that they're still doing the documentaries, and I like that they're kind of keeping the door just a little bit ajar so that maybe we can see movies again.
With more people hitting the trails as the weather gets warmer, there's an effort underway now to raise awareness about respecting the wildlife around us. Meteorologist Leah Pizzetti shows us how a group of nature enthusiasts in Issaquah are taking extra steps to discreetly watch the wild.
This is what is wandering in the woods when no one is around.
It's always special when we get to see one. Yeah.
With his own cub in tow, Alex Brown hikes to a secret location hidden in this Issaquah forest.
So it's just kind of a personal hobby of mine just behind my house. I had a few cameras out to just see what was coming by.
A little more than a year ago, his hobby turned into a grassroots volunteer group. Alex started the Issaquah Alps Wildlife Camera Project to discreetly learn about the wildlife around him. To watch the woods, the locals put up these trail cameras. These are motion-censored cameras that when something goes by, it starts recording. And they've been able to capture some incredible visuals.
It was very eye-opening, just how much wildlife is out there when we're just not around to disturb it.
In partnership with the City of Issaquah's Parks Department, they've placed 5 cameras on public lands.
Everyone's favorite are the bear cubs.
And have 10 more on the way.
And then, of course, anytime we see a cougar, that's always a really cool sight. They're so elusive.
The dozen volunteer outdoor enthusiasts monitor the hidden cameras, checking every few weeks to see what is poking around.
I mean, that's a big fella, I think.
And they share the video with the community, not for intimidation, but education.
But our mission is a little bit more, we call it edutainment. So kind of using that footage and the visibility it brings to raise awareness about recreating responsibly, coexisting with wildlife in our neighborhoods.
And that's their big message. These animals are our Washington neighbors, and that is a special gift.
I think that shows how good they are at coexisting. Even though they're out there, they're all over the place, they're able to share this space. And it's not something we need to feel threatened by, but it's a call for us to be responsible.
For Environment Northwest, I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti.
Thanks for your time. We hope you enjoyed a look at the biggest stories of the week.